Welcome to this another transmission of Yang Woman. Hope you can hear me. It's an absolutely stunning day here. It's just one of those glorious winter days, lovely big sunny skies, lots of light, and it's just wonderful, even if it is a short day here in the UK. Hope you're having a brilliant day. And it's interesting, I was thinking to myself last night about the definition of a Yang woman, even though I've got the profile up on my website, ginahardyyoga.com, that maybe that what makes women more Yang is the very definition of the fact that we used to be archetypally the nurturer, nest builders, but also we became hunter-gatherers as well, and I wonder that's where we stepped into our Yangness and away from maybe our authentic feminine essence to a certain extent. And everything with life is a balance. And when we get too far in one polarity, we start to want to shift back in the opposite direction, but often go too far in the other direction, so we switch back. And I've always said that I believe that happiness exists in balance. That when we have a polarity that's too much, too much in one direction or too much in the other direction, that we feel that we're out of kilter. So I was thinking about that Yang woman and who she is and her definition, and thinking, yeah, maybe it is that we've added hunter-gatherer, which effectively was archetypally the man's role. And maybe it's not a bad thing, it's the way the world's gone, it's the way we wanted to be equal, but there are imbalances that I perceive, having been a Yang woman most of my life, although I am pleasantly becoming Yin these days. So, the last day of Yang Woman Desires is the desire for freedom. And again, when I sort of do these vlogs, that I think there's a consciousness of everything that we find challenging or the things that we desire. So, but for me, being a Yang woman, freedom was always a massive thing for me. I'm quite self-preservationist, so I look at where my freedom is being stifled by other people. But it's interesting because when I was in the corporate world, I was working 5 days a week, I had 5 weeks holiday a year, and really, when I look at it, I was working for money. Yes, I enjoyed the people I was hanging out with, and the people I've made as friends are just completely awesome. But ultimately, if you'd said to me, well, we'll take the money away and you just do the job, I wouldn't have been doing it, because really I was working for money, not for what really mattered to me. And my desire was always for freedom, and I used to get really, really upset sometimes when I'd come back from holidays and I'd have the holiday blues and at the end of my working day, and I used to just feel stifled, and I think I felt rebellistic because of that. There were times when I just wanted to kick out. But I managed to survive from the age of 17 to about 43 in the corporate world and then left. But freedom became everything, and now I've got ultimate freedom. My days are as I want them. So it comes in different desires, but I wonder that if you're in the corporate world and you're a Yang female, that you feel that irksome nature of thinking, well, it isn't really that money that's important to me, it's freedom. So you've set up your life and you run your life and your bills, and you have your home and your car and whatever else you have materialistically, and yet there's a real calling for freedom, because underneath it, whatever it is you're gathering maybe isn't bringing you that true happiness. And married women and women with children, I mean, we have responsibilities galore. So it would be children, even older parents, with our partners, and we don't feel freedom because we have responsibility. So it's interesting, the whole thing about responsibility. Is responsibility something that we should have, or is responsibility just another way of saying your freedom's being taken away from you? So I've come to the place where actually I could do with a lot more money, but what's important to me is freedom. And everywhere I look in my week now, I look for the times where my freedom might be zapped, because space is really important for me, so that I can just live life at a pace that I want to live, not at a pace that everybody else wants me to live, or indeed they live themselves and think I should be caught up in that too. So the desire for freedom, as we know, if we've been doing self-growth, you know that every condition of the mind is just a condition of the mind. It's not really the outward things that say whether you have freedom or not. It's your attitude to freedom that is the important thing. And knowing, I mean, I've even heard an interview once with a prison inmate who had done loads of work on himself since he'd actually murdered somebody. It was a guy in the States, and I always remember him saying, "But I feel the freest I've ever been," and he was behind bars. So is your desire for freedom, and are you doing things in your life that zap your freedom from what you see in front of you visually? Maybe that's a job that's taking up too much of your time. Maybe that's too many responsibilities, and actually it's time to look at those responsibilities and give back to yourself, because otherwise we're living here for other people, not for ourselves. And again, I think it needs to be about a balance, and if we sway too far away from ourselves, we just empty out our tanks. So if freedom is knocking on your door, listen. Listen to the calling that's coming through you, and love to hear your thoughts and your comments. And thank you to the ladies that have actually sent me messages and given me some really deep insights to how they live and how they feel, and it makes me feel good doing these videos, knowing that it hopefully will help you. I identify where you feel your challenges are and your desires, and also offering up some help of how I can help you change things. So that's the last day of the desires. So we've done 7 days of challenges, 7 days of desires, and tomorrow I'm going to start talking about how you can let the yin in. So how can you become more receptive? How can you step back a little bit? How can you rebalance this yang energy so that your body and your mind and your whole feminine being comes into more balance? I look forward to talking to you about that for the next 7 days, because I've got lots of ideas, and also I thought we'd do some little meditations. So I wish you freedom, I really do. Freedom in your heart, freedom in your mind, freedom in your external world, so that you can investigate this world and be who you were meant to be and do the things that really bring you joy. So until next time, I honour you, I salute you, and I love you. Namaste.